Hello, YouTube. I got some inspiration today to talk to you guys about uncomfortable situations when it comes to being tattooed and how to get through that, how to address it, and specifically knowing what your limits are and that your limits are completely acceptable and okay, and you need to voice those as soon as possible. I didn't always follow that rule, and let you guys know that was not okay, and I wish I, had said some things before things had gotten too far. So I just hope you take some of my advice here. So we'll start with my first story, get right into it. My very first tattoo was these two little bows, you still have them, two little bows on my bikini line, and I absolutely love them still. I got them when I was 18, but the tattoo artist who tattooed them on me was really inappropriate about, like, the whole time he was talking about, ladies' genitalia and how, he loves his job because he gets to touch vaginas all day. Well, that was unacceptable. I definitely felt very uncomfortable with that. That's not what was happening in the situation. He was tattooing my bikini line. It's not like he was touching anything, and I did not like the line of conversation that was happening at all. But instead of addressing that with him, I stayed quiet. I was really embarrassed, really nervous. It was my first tattoo, and I think that he kind of took advantage of that. Like, I didn't know really myself. I was young. I was afraid to say anything. This guy is tattooing me. He could mess up. I was really worried about him, getting upset with me for saying something, and then, oh, now you have whatever on you instead of what you had asked for, and that's not what I wanted at all. So I kind of just left it as it was and didn't say anything, and that was not okay. So luckily, the tattoo turned out really wonderful, and I still love it, and it's a little blown out now. That happened when I was 18, but it's still one of my favorites. I'm sorry, I'm still pretty sick. Tea break. Which, by the way, this is one reason why I'm never going to be a beauty vlogger. This isn't lipstick. I realized after I put it on, it's actually eyeshadow. It's like, it came in this, it looked like liquid lipstick to me, and I guess I don't buy anything new ever, so I forgot that that's eyeshadow. I straight up put liquid eyeshadow as liquid lipstick, but maybe that's fine. Maybe that's a normal thing to do. No. But that's why I can't be a beauty vlogger, because I don't know. Back to the story. So basically, I did nothing. I really should have told that tattoo artist how uncomfortable that made me, but I didn't let it continue, and I'm sure he's doing that to some other tattoo newbies out there who aren't confident enough to be like, hey, that's not okay, please don't talk to me like that. Didn't do that. So anyway, that was situation number one. So if you are at all uncomfortable, you need to stop the situation, and maybe that's not the right tattoo artist for you, and that's okay. So that's what I have to say about that one. It was actually the same tattoo shop, which I stopped going here. I told people to stop going here because they had some really strange practices for sure. I was 18 when I got tattooed, but they definitely didn't card me. They didn't have me sign anything. They didn't have me sign something that I wasn't like under the influence of anything or have any sort of like, chronic illnesses or anything like that. So that was definitely something that I should have paid more attention to and didn't. But I did have a friend who went here after I had gotten my tattoo, and she was getting this little blue butterfly like right about here. It was probably a little bit more on her breast, but it was not at all an inappropriate tattoo. It wasn't like it was so far down. Excuse me. It wasn't so far down, but the tattoo artist was like flat out grabbing her boob the whole session. And he actually got excited in that situation, and it felt very uncomfortable. She was uncomfortable. I was with her when it was happening, and we were both just like, no, you need to step out of the situation, please. Like, this is making us pretty uncomfortable right now. And like, it wasn't just that like he had a bodily reaction to what was going on. He was saying uncomfortable things. He was making gestures. It wasn't like he was just innocently tattooing her and he just happened to have, you know, it was definitely more of, he was trying to be inappropriate. So we let him know we were uncomfortable with the situation and that he needed to give us like 30 minutes to decide if we want to continue the tattoo or if we want to leave. And so he did. He gave us like 30 minutes. He took a break. I got her a coffee, and then we ended up going back and finishing it, and he did apologize and promise he was going to behave. So, and he did the rest of it. But really, that's not okay. And that tattoo shop was obviously okay with being inappropriate, which is horrible. So anyway, never went there again, but I hope you guys learn a little bit from that to stand up for yourself. If you feel like you're being, you know, harassed in any way, just make sure that you stand up for yourself and stop the situation. You know, there's almost always another person at the shop that you can even reach out to and say, hey, I'm really uncomfortable with this. Can you talk to so-and-so if you still want to get that tattoo there? I wouldn't, but that's up to you. Anyway. And then when I was later on, it's probably, I think I was like 21 or 22 at this point. So it had been a few years since I got my first tattoo. I had a bit of a stint there where I didn't have a tattoo after my first one. But I was ready to get a back piece. I thought I was, at least. And I wanted a mandala on my back. And it was going to be this lotus mandala. I still ended up getting this tattoo, but not on my back. And not from this shop. And I'll explain why. I actually walked into the shop and just right off, I was like a walk-in, there was no appointment or anything, and I kind of slapped my idea down on the table and was like, I want this on my back, and the guy was like, yeah, we can do that right now, which should have been a red flag, number one, just because it was a pretty big back piece, and they didn't flinch at all. They were like, yep, we're doing this right now, and I'm like, okay. Like, I was expecting them to be like, okay, we'll come back in a month, and this is the time that we'll do that. That's not what happened. So anyway, he draws it up, and then he pulls me over to this area that's right in front of the main window so everybody could see me. And he tells me to take off my shirt and my bra to put this tattoo on me, this stencil on me. And I immediately am like, whoa, 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 this tattoo is not that big. It can fit in the area between my straps and then the bottom strap. So I'm going to leave my bra on, actually. I am sorry, guys. And so he ends up getting all upset with me and saying I have to take my bra off and that I am stupid for not realizing that I'm going to have to take my bra off for this tattoo. Well, I actually know that I wouldn't have had to for this one. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not taking my bra off. That's inappropriate, especially not for this window. There are kids walking by. I am not okay with this. It really should be in a private room, or at least a sectioned off area where it's a little bit more private. And then on top of that, he finally is like, okay, fine, you can leave your bra on, whatever. So I leave it on. We're sitting there. I'm still uncomfortable because it's still out in the open, but he's basically like, well, tough luck. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm kind of letting it continue. He puts the stencil on my back and brings out his gun like he's about to start tattooing me without asking me about placement or anything. And I was like, hold the phone. This is not how it's supposed to go. You need to back off, dude. So I ended up leaving that shop. I talked to the owner. They did give me my deposit back because I was like, he didn't even draw it, first of all. It was something that I had done and I had, presented it to him. He copied it and printed it out. Like, it wasn't like he spent any amount of time, and it just because of how disrespectful he was. No, I was like, I need my deposit back, which was only like $300, but the principle was he didn't deserve my $300 for how inappropriate he was, and honestly, he didn't do anything. So, no. Now I understand it takes time for a tattoo artist to kind of get all of their, ink out and to sterilize and, making sure that they open everything properly. Like, I understand that it does take time, and they do deserve payment for that and things like that, but in this instance, I was so upset. Like, I'm not even going to be thinking about this person in a kind manner at all. So maybe I was a little petty about it, but still. I'm sorry. So anyway, I did not get that tattoo. Glad I did not. I have a really beautiful back piece now that I am very happy I had space to put there. So it ended up working out. But moral of that story is definitely speak up for yourself. If you're uncomfortable, say you're uncomfortable so that, your situation can be a little bit better. And then I have a good situation of how a very awkward tattoo could have gone incredibly south, and it did not, because this tattoo artist was incredibly professional. I'm very grateful to him. And I just want to say thank you, Mr. Tattoo Artist, for being a good guy. Which there are plenty out there who are great people. So I actually was in Omaha for this tattoo. It's one of my favorites. I actually got it for my, when I got engaged to my husband. It's for my little sister, which is kind of a weird situation, but it is the mandala tattoo. It's lotus on my hip, and then I have like two bigger like realistic lotuses on top and then two sort of on bottom. So it goes from like kind of like my side down the side of my leg, but it goes around my hip, and there's some kind of on like my butt cheek, just a little bit, not too crazy or anything, but it is on there. And so when I got that tattoo, I definitely did have to wear a thong for that. And I did express being uncomfortable to the artist. I was like, listen, I am not usually somebody who's okay with showing a ton of skin. I really want this tattoo. My husband or my fiance is giving it to me as a gift. I'm really excited about it, but I don't know how this is going to go. I've had bad experiences in the past, and I kind of want your advice on how we can make this as peaceful as possible. And so he was very sweet about it. He did have a very open tattoo shop, so like there was like little barricades, but they only went up to like your waist. And I was okay with that. I knew he couldn't like create walls for me. But he basically was like, listen, I'm gonna give you a blanket. If you feel uncomfortable, you can kind of like, put it up against yourself or like up on the side there if you do feel more uncomfortable. And so he did kind of go along with that. I did have my thong on, and I was like, my booty was facing him while he was doing it, but he was definitely very appropriate. He never made any comments that made me uncomfortable. He actually did talk to me a lot about his wife, which I felt was very sweet of him to kind of reassure me that this is a okay situation, that he's a genuine person. He talked to me a lot about his kids, which was really sweet. So anyway, I definitely appreciated how professional he was being. And there was a time where there was a bunch of people coming into the tattoo shop, and they started going over to where I was and like staring at what was happening, which happens a lot. People are interested about the tattoo and what's going on. So they were looking, and I didn't say anything, but he could feel that I was getting a little bit uncomfortable, and was like, hey guys, do you mind if we get just a little bit of privacy? It's kind of a awkward tattoo placement right now. And they were all like, oh yeah, no problems. They all like walked away. But it was just sweet of him to even say that and just say like, hey, she's uncomfortable with this. Could you mind giving us some privacy? So I definitely appreciated that. That is how a professional reacts in a situation like that. And it was my choice to put a thong on for that situation. So if I didn't want to do that, I didn't have to get a tattoo in that spot. Definitely not. I chose that. And B, I could have worn whatever I wanted, and he could have like taped it up in a certain situation. I just felt like this would have been most comfortable. That's what he said would have been more comfortable, and I would agree with that. But yeah, I definitely was thankful that he was so professional about it. So thank you, tattoo artist. Maybe one day I'll show you guys all of my tattoos, and I'll be able to kind of tag the shop and maybe the artist if they're all okay with that. I would have to research that a little bit more, but just saying, I definitely did appreciate that situation a lot. Let's see here. I also had this isn't like inappropriate, it was just kind of an awkward situation. I had this one tattoo shop that I would go to that was another kind of hole in the wall, but their artists were amazing. Like my husband and I would walk down the street, and we just wound up in that shop one day and just started looking through all of their artwork, and it was beautiful, and we were just very intrigued by it. So we decided to get tattooed from them, and that's where I actually got my, I don't know if you can see it here, my wolf tattoo. I love him. I also got my beetle tattoo there as well. Which this is they both have really fun stories. I love them. But anyway, my husband got one of his tattoos there as well. But one of the weird, the wolf was completely fine. Nothing weird happened there. But when I was getting my beetle done, excuse me, it was very awkward because there were people skateboarding in the shop while I was getting tattooed. That was awkward. I felt very uncomfortable with that, specifically because I was like, what if you bump into my artist and he like makes a mistake? Which there are some mistakes in this tattoo. He may have been distracted. However, I love it anyway, and the mistakes kind of make me happy too. They're kind of cute, so I appreciate them. Anywho, it was a very awkward situation. I really had a lot of respect for my artist, so I was like, you know, if this is the environment he's used to, then maybe it's going to be fine, and that was my choice to make that decision. I'm glad I did. I still love the tattoos that I have from that shop, so it is what it is. But he also, it was kind of cute too, because he did bring his wife and son in when I was getting this tattoo done, and it was pretty adorable because the son was trying to copy his dad when his dad was tattooing me on his mom. So he was like drawing with a pen the same tattoo on his mom, and it was just so cute. His son was like 3. It was probably the cutest thing ever. I loved that. And they also had little like pit bull puppies running around everywhere. It was just a lot going on, and if you know anything about tattoo shops, it's probably not very sanitary to have a puppy running around. I don't know if that's true or not. It just, to me, I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but it was cute. It put me at ease. Whatever. I did not get an infection from any of my tattoos from there. Everything seemed fine, but it was awkward. But another awkward one from that shop itself, my husband got tattooed by this like giant man. I had never seen somebody so big ever. Excuse me. He's got a lotus in the same spot. Oh, there we go. That I have my wolf over here. And that's kind of like, we got that a little bit after I got my hip ones. We both have lotuses, whatever. They're different styles and everything, so kind of not the same, but sort of the same. It was pretty funny actually, because the guy that tattooed my husband, just like while he was doing the tattoo, he was explaining to us that he just got out of prison, and we were like, okay, like whatever, as long as you know you're out, that's good, you did your time, whatever. He was really, really nice, but it just had like a very strange vibe to him. He just, something was off. He did the tattoo was beautiful, so we're like, okay, thank you. We paid and then we left, and then like a couple, maybe it was like a month, I think it was a month later, we walked by that shop and there was like somebody had thrown a brick through the window of the shop, and we were like, oh, what is going on? So it was all like taped up, like the whole window was all like, there was like a bag, it was just weird looking. So we walk in and we're like, oh my God, what's going on? And they were like, oh, well, we had to fire somebody, and then they didn't appreciate that, so they threw a brick through the window. And we were like, oh, was it by chance this person? And they were like, yeah, it was that person. So I was like, oh, okay, well, seems like somebody got a little upset there. So, I mean, sorry that you got fired, guy, but let's not throw bricks at people. That's not nice. Anywho, that was an interesting situation. But tattoos turned out wonderful, so definitely still happy about that. Let's see, and that's about it for like inappropriate, awkward tattoo situations. I do have more tattoos than the ones I just explained to you, but that's the ones that were standing out in the way that they were inappropriate, and I should have said something when I didn't. And that it's important to kind of speak up and say when something is wrong or bothering you. I mean, that's really important in life too. It doesn't just go for tattoos. It's just that a tattoo is on you forever. So if you're uncomfortable with the situation, you need to speak up and say something, because you don't know what could go wrong. So anyway, thought I would just kind of talk to you guys about that. My very sleepy kitty. says, hello, YouTube. I woke her up and now she's angry. Anyway, have a great day, everybody. Bye.